The family grew up, they were born in Chicago, and they came over here to California about 15 years ago. There's nothing to show that he was connected to a terror group yet. This is all information that's still been coming out, and there's nothing to connect him to one of these groups. He was working for the city, he had a full-time job, he was getting his master's, he was married, he was living the American dream. His brother was enrolled in the Navy, he served overseas. They were living the American dream. They came over here, born and raised Chicago, came to California, and they all started having families.
Yeah, I would say that that both the sisters and the brother, as we went through the information today, I mean, there's one silly thing that came up was just that some of his coworkers at some time maybe made remarks about his beard, but it's so slight, and no one has ever stated that he's ever acted out in a hostile way, in a violent way towards anyone. A very polite, conservative married couple. He was, Syed Farook was a pretty introverted person, you know, stayed to himself, and so did the wife. They were conservative, traditional Muslim family. I mean, our concern mostly is just with all of the headlines that keep saying Muslim shooter, or the thing on the cover of the New York Post, that, you know, it's important that Muslims not be intimidated or harassed as a result of this incident, that this not be used to fuel hate.
There was no preparations that the family knew about. You know, guns, being a licensed gun owner is part of your Second Amendment right.
There isn't any, there hasn't been any like smoking gun evidence that this was the motivation for anything at all.
So before we jump to conclusions, we should at least wait for all the facts to come out of what's actually happening, what they found at the house. Their investigation is ongoing.
You can't really trust these. First of all, none of the family members or anyone was ever aware of any pipe bombs. I don't think you can really trust that information. And then also, this petite wife. I mean, I understand that this evidence was particularly found, that was supposedly found on the scene, and
we saw it with the helicopter.
There's a lot of motivation at this time to create to emphasize or create incidents that will cause gun control or prejudice or hatred towards the Muslim community.
Are you saying that the police have exaggerated the weapon we found?
I think what David's just saying is that we still have to wait for all the information to come out. Everything is going to come out. We have to wait for the officer's report to come out because it takes a couple of days.
There have been suggestions that it may be something that was related to their work, that somehow he was a disgruntled employee, but it isn't. It doesn't seem plausible to us that this petite woman would be involved in this sort of hyper caricatured kind of Bonnie and Clyde crazy scenario. But I mean, there was a lot of questions drawn with regard to Sandy Hook and whether or not that was a real incident or not. We just don't know. But I mean, obviously these things were found there. How they got there, we don't know.
The families is in shock as much as all of us are. You know, they had no idea. They came over here, the brother, you know, they all are married now. They all have their own kids, they all have their own families. They had no idea that something like this would happen. They all woke up one day, they were all, you know, at work or, you know, raising the kids or doing something, and they heard of what was going on.
When we went to our questioning with the FBI, there was a lot of attempts to basically link this to online accounts or visits to the Middle East, and every one of them just fell flat, to the point where the investigators actually said, we're looking for some behavior that would show that this is the person that would commit this, and nothing you're saying, I'm paraphrasing and saying this, but they said nothing you're saying would indicate any sort of a behavior like that. And we all kind of went, yeah, I know, you know, like, duh.